A massive win for the Indiana Pacers. They take game 4 in Milwaukee, a huge road win. Myles Turner, sensational. Pacers offense, awesome. Damian Lillard injury, very sad. And so much to get to on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today I'm in my hotel room in Milwaukee. I just got back from the Fiserv Forum where the Pacers, they got their road win. Last year, both series, they won a road game. They won the series. It took them to game 4 this year. They beat the Bucks handily, keeping them at arm's length for much of the night to take a commanding 3-1 series lead. They'll have 3 chances at most to come away with a first-round victory. They'll have 2 of those games at home. They've got to feel very good about how they recovered from game 3. We have so much to get to today. That recovery, the Pacers offense, Myles Turner, Tyrese Haliburton was very good. Everybody was very good. 8 in double figures for the Pacers. This is how they want to play. I barely need notes to do this episode because I've done this episode a lot talking about the Pacers and the way they win games. Their offense is just a buzzsaw at its best. When they play the way they want, they call it random when they're talking to me. They call it random, in other interview settings. But to them, it's not random. It's concepts they know. It's movement they know. It's passing and screening that they're comfortable with, and they know when it should and shouldn't come, and they can react to situations in front of them and apply the most pressure-filled thing to the game. And that sounds so simple to say, but it's so hard for teams to defend. Ask Joe Mazzulla last year which series was the hardest for the Celtics. He said it on Locked On Celtics. He said it was the Pacers. That was their only sweep, and they said it was their hardest series because it's so hard to guard the Pacers when they're playing their best offense. In the second half of game 3, they did not. They said it themselves a bunch. They said we were stagnant. The ball was moving around the perimeter. We were not driving enough. We were not flowing. And it was obvious. They scored 18 points in the third quarter. The Bucks ran away with the game. Tonight, they never had a moment. In fact, I would argue through all 4 games, this was their most complete offensive game. Game 1 and 2, there were moments in the fourth quarter where they were a little too jump shoot heavy, settling a little bit, and the Bucks kind of chewed at the lead. And this game, that stretch never really happened. They kept their foot on the gas the whole time. Just a fantastic offensive night. And to me, it wasn't that they didn't adjust from game 3. They clearly did. The rotation, much different, right? Jarris Walker, the first sub of both halves, after about 4.5 minutes. Different stretches of who the front court group is, when the bench and who is with the bench at different times, right? They certainly changed things up, but I think they just got back to their style, right? Rick Carlisle told us after the game, he thought in game 3, and by thought, I mean he checked tracking data, I believe, that had their second most isolation possessions of any game the Pacers have played this entire season. They had very few in game 4. The Bucks switching defense gave them no issues, right? They were willing to screen to get Tyrese Haliburton going left. He doesn't want to go left when he's just beating the guy one-on-one. When he has a screen, and he can either reject that screen and go the way he wants and throw a defender off, or he can take the screen and create an advantage and get an opening going the way he doesn't want. Win-win. Right? They did that a lot. Myles Turner setting screens, getting Haliburton going left early in the game, really set the tone for the Pacers. We'll talk a lot about Myles Turner later in this podcast. I debated opening this episode with him. He was that good. But the Pacers offense was the story, right? Haliburton sees 2, gets it to the open man. That guy scores. Haliburton sees 2, the open man gets the ball. The Bucks rotate, one more pass, open shot. They hit it. And the starters have been doing that for a lot of the series. And to be clear, the starters were tremendous, right? I talked after game 3 about, yes, Haliburton was not good compared to his standards. Turner's worst postseason game maybe the last 2 years. Nembhard was 2 for 8. That's 3 starters that were just not good. Tyrese Haliburton, 6 for 11 in this game. Andrew Nembhard was 8 for 14. Andrew Nembhard had 20 points. I have no idea when he scored 20 points. Like, it was the quietest 20-point game I've ever seen. Ever seen. Like, would anyone rank him as a top 2 or 3 performer for the Pacers in this game? No, and he had 20 points, 2 assists, good defense, 1 turnover, plus 20. He was great. And Myles Turner was 9 for 13 and was the standout in just about every way, which we'll get to again later in this episode. Those 3 recovering made the starters hum. Neesmith's been rock solid all series and was tremendous again. Had the highlight of the game. Pascal Siakam, what he would consider probably for himself a pretty pedestrian game with only 12 points and 4 assists, still made half his shots and had the best probably defensive half anyone's had on Giannis in the series. In the first half, he soaked up a lot of fouls that kind of limited his minutes and changed when he was out there. But all 5 starters for the Pacers shot 50% or better in this game. And it was easy. It was back to game 1 and 2 where it was easy for them to create those shots, right? And it's so boring for me to keep walking away with the same, look how easy offense is for the Pacers. But I'm just not stunned, but I thought I picked Pacers in 7. That might very well still happen. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but it has been much easier for them to score in this series than I anticipated. And that happened again in this game. Now, the starters have been good a lot, right? They've been winning. The Pacers have been winning the Giannis minutes in some of these games. In games 1 and 2, they certainly did. But the Bucks have found answers with bench-heavy groups or Giannis plus bench-heavy groups to chew back into these games, right? The Pacers bench has been, let's say, rocky in the postseason so far, with some guys having good nights here but not there, or there but not here, whatever phrasing you want to use. I don't care. They have not been at the level they were at last year. I don't think anyone would even get close to debating that. They were very good today. This was the best Pacers bench game of the season. Some of that is on individual performances. Some of that is on fascinating new but useful lineup combinations. Some of that's just on the play better adjustment, the best one you could possibly make. But look, we can bellyache, and we did, about rotations. I think people were missing the boat saying, why is Ben Shepherd playing? Ben Shepherd probably should play. Maybe, the combos is what I talked about being the issue, and they changed those in a meaningful way. Groups with Walker plus Shepherd together were quite good. Toppin was not the first sub, something that Kyle Taylor talked about yesterday, albeit in slightly different context. It was Jarris Walker instead. They changed up who TJ McConnell's playing with in the backcourt sometimes. It just all works. Now, obviously, huge caveat. Bennedict Mathurin did not play in this game. That had, to me, little bearing on the bench being much better. A lot of that was the combination specifically, but that is noteworthy when discussing their rotation. But this was the best bench game, right? Jarris Walker, 4 for 5. All of his shots were threes. I mean, his shooting development in the league has just been remarkable. Again, I'll get into more individuals later with specifics, but just Obi Toppin finally made shots. He was 5 for 7. He had some huge run-stopping corner threes. Ben Shepherd did not make shots, but still played over 21 minutes because his point-of-attack defense is so valuable. Thomas Bryant, my biggest adjustment rotationally after game 3. If you listen to that show with Kyle Taylor, I said he's got to play way less than 21 minutes. He played 7. That's been the Goldilocks number this series for him, is between 7 and 10, just right. He can contribute in that kind of time. He had some huge boards in this game, right? So they got what they needed from Shepherd and Bryant, and the other 3 were all making shots. And the biggest stretch of the game for the Pacers offensively, and this really showed to me the ease at which they were getting shots in this game, was the middle of the third quarter. The only time in the second half it felt like, oh man, maybe this will not go the Pacers' way again. It got to 9, right? The Pacers led wire to wire. They never trailed in this game. It was only tied at 0-0. It got to 9 in the third quarter. Giannis was finally getting going. He had 8 points at halftime, and then he just started crushing to start this quarter. I think it was 85-76 or something. 88-76, excuse me. It was an 8-point lead for the Pacers, and Giannis was up to 21. He had 13 points in the third quarter at that time. This is when the bench had their best stretch probably of the entire series. And Toppin had just come into the game. TJ McConnell, they're seeing a zone. He gets to the rim, huge layup. Giannis gets free throws on the other end after a foul from Ryan Rollins. TJ McConnell gets to the rim again for a huge layup. After he smoked 2 in the last game, he had 2 awesome finishes at the basket. Then the next possession, they get Pascal Siakam an open shot set up by Tyrese Haliburton. Then wide open consecutive corner threes for Obi Toppin and Ben Shepherd, one that TJ McConnell set up and one that Tyrese Haliburton set up. So it was really McConnell, Toppin, Shepherd, so 3 bench guys with those 2, the 2 stars for the Pacers, Siakam and Haliburton. A new group, a bench-heavy group, over half bench group that just stormed in that stretch. They were scoring like crazy. All of a sudden, they're up 13 again, matching punches from the Bucks, right? Giannis kept scoring, Portis kept scoring. So the second Giannis came out of the game, in the start of the fourth quarter, the Pacers' lead was still significant, and they closed the quarter strong too, right? Haliburton got some buckets, Toppin with a huge cutting in transition play to close the frame. All of a sudden, they're up 17 again. That was the best bench stretch of the series, I think, for the Pacers. Their defense wasn't perfect, but it was good enough, and their offense was awesome and against the zone that has crushed those bench groups. McConnell was finishing shots. and setting up his teammates. They're flowing right into stuff regardless of the matchups. They weren't matchup hunting, which they have done sometimes when they get into those specific units against that Bucks lineup. They did none of that in this game. And altogether, the bench humming, the starters were awesome. The Pacers got whatever shot they wanted. They cleaned up. They made 50 shots in this game. They shot 60.2% from the field. That's insane. 18 for 39 from deep. The poor Bucks shoot over 40% from deep for the second time this series, and they get outshot from deep. That's actually happened to them twice in this game, in this series. The Pacers, remarkable in this game, how much the Bucks would hit a huge shot and they'd answer with a three. 36 assists for the Pacers in this game, 25 for the Bucks. Insanely good ball movement, insanely good offensive flow, regardless of who was on the floor, rotation patterns that got lineups with the right balance of shooting and ball handling on the floor. An awesome offensive night for the Pacers, who just raced past the Bucks. If it didn't get within 8 or 9 in that brief moment in the third quarter, the Pacers would have been up double digits from the middle of the second quarter onward. They were tremendous. And when they get shots like that, even when the game gets tight-ish, 8 or 9 points in the third quarter, I just think they're going to be fine. They're going to get the shots that they like and keep the Bucks away. It happened in game 1, it happened in game 2, and it happened in game 4. And the Pacers are in the driver's seat. 3 chances to move on to the second round. We got to talk about some individuals. A very, very sad injury for the Bucks and the significance of game 5, all coming up here on Locked On Pacers. Before we get to any of that, we got to talk about Prize Picks. Basketball and hockey playoffs are here. There's no better time to turn your sports knowledge into real cash with Prize Picks, the top destination for daily fantasy action. Prize Picks makes it simple. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. You can even mix and match players across basketball, hockey, baseball, and more for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Many things on Prize Picks you can add this week, like Nikola Jokic for more than or less than 25 points, or Jaylen Brown of the Celtics for more or less than 4 assists. Every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you in the Takes 2 ticket sweepstakes, which could turn you and a +1 into a VIP trip to the ship. Connor McDavid, more or less than 1 goal. Austin Matthews, more or less than 5 shots on goal. Hockey, basketball, baseball. The app makes it easy. You build a lineup under 60 seconds with their Taco Tuesday and Flex Friday promos. There's even more value each week. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks. Run your game. We're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Locked On Bucks, your second listen. They'll talk about Dame's injury. They'll talk about the Bucks. I don't even know what the right emotion they had when he got hurt and how it impacted the rest of their performance and their situation. They can do it. They've got Giannis. They can come back. They certainly can come back, but it's challenging. Winning 3 in a row with 2 on the road is tough. They'll try their best. Elimination games are very hard. Ask the Knicks last year against the Pacers, but they got to try. Ask the Bucks. Ask the Pacers against the Bucks last year in Game 5. It's tough for them, but it's not over. Locked On Bucks will have more. We'll talk with them tomorrow. Let's keep going here. Myles Turner. Oh my gosh, what a game! I mean, the exact opposite performance of the one he just had. The juxtaposition between the two made today seem so extremely awesome. And it was one of his top playoff performances maybe ever. I mean, he had 29 last year in game 3. He was huge in that overtime win. I think people forget that he lit up Brook Lopez in that game. Today, Myles Turner, absolutely phenomenal, right? And what stood out about his play, beyond just it being very good, he set the tone, right? In games 1 and 2, huge thing for the Pacers, these hot starts, right? They went up 8, and immediately in game 2, they won by 8, right? In game 1, the Bucks take a timeout down double digits like that. This game, same thing. Pacers are up 13-7 or 13-5 or 15-10. I don't forget. They were up, a significant amount in a couple minutes, and Myles Turner had 9 of the Pacers' first 13 points, right? He was getting free from deep, which is interesting because in the last game, I thought, wow, they're really scared of these Myles Turner shots. And in this game, they kind of were, but he just stroked him more confidence. I asked him after the last game, you can watch the interview on my YouTube channel. We talked to Myles. I said, you just missed today? What happened with your shots? He's like, oh yeah, I just missed. It was a bad game. I'll be better next game. Boy, was he. Emphatic finishing, right? Tough twos. Shots that he has gotten so much better at throughout his career. Like actual post touch. People crap on his post game. He has actual post touch. He only made 1 3, and he led the Pacers in scoring. That is such an atypical Myles Turner night. But the short roll was just masterful. He only had 3 assists. I bet he had equal or more hockey assists. Like he'd catch it in the middle and keep it moving. He'd catch it in the middle and shoot, put it on the floor, get to the basket. Like he was drawing fouls. Monster offensive night for Turner. He took 5 free throws. The Pacers took 13 as a team. It was not an easy night to draw fouls with this crew for the Pacers. And I'm not even saying the refs were bad. They were fine. But 5 free throws for Turner. I mean, he was just phenomenal. 23 points on 13 shots with 1 made 3 is an exceptional game. The Bucks really struggled with him. If Lopez was on him, Turner could get by him or just shoot over him. If they switched like they have been, he actually punished those in a way that he did not in game 3 at all. Right? Awesome stuff. Setting the tone early, 9 of the first 13 points. How about setting the tone in the second half with a dunk right past Giannis? I hate to be that guy. People tweeted over Giannis. It was not over Giannis. Giannis got out of the way. Giannis was there. It was around Giannis. It was over might be the right word. On Giannis is wrong. Regardless, sick dunk. Absolutely monster dunk. The whole bench goes crazy. Regardless of the exact specific terminology from Wet Blanket Tony, it got the team going, right? It hyped them up. They played really well to start the half until, some shots went in for the Bucks. To their credit, they earned those. But the tone setting was huge, and he was very good on offense. Exceptionally good on offense. But wait, what if I told you he was equally awesome on defense? 4 blocks, 2 of them on Giannis shots, earned another jump ball fighting with him in the post. He has been the best at like Giannis is coming at me. One guy has to guard Giannis situations. Those are impossible, right? No one's going to do well. Myles Turner's had the most successful plays in the series. He should not be the guy guarding Giannis, but it's not. He has the best chance so far of actually getting a stop for the Pacers in that moment. Siakam was great against Giannis today, by the way. But Myles Turner was just so good on both ends. His coverage on defense was exceptional. And when he switched, he had to switch. When he dropped, which wasn't a common thing, he did great. Phenomenal game. And the way you defend Giannis requires a lot from your centers. And Myles Turner was great. The Pacers went smaller at the 5 a lot in this game. So that's why Jarris came in earlier, right? Some Siakam, Top, and Walker front court groups. The big lineup that they showed late in the regular season, it was exceptional in this game. So Turner was awesome. I thought that was huge. 2 other guys I want to get to who either had really good games compared to what they've done in the series or did just bounce back in a meaningful way. Tyrese Haliburton will kick himself for 5 turnovers, but he made 4 twos in this game on 6 attempts, got to the rim and finished, right? That's what everybody says is when he's at his absolute best. And that's part of what I think makes him at his absolute best. But he just, to me, it was more about finding the right balance of passing. My glass table's all wobbly. I keep bumping it. The right balance of passing and scoring at the rim. And that requires shooting some, which he didn't do at all in game 3. But he nailed the balance today. Nailed it, right? Perfect amount of layups. And the thing that makes it possible for that balance to look really good is when he gets free in the lane. And part of that was Myles Turner screens I mentioned earlier. Part of that's Haliburton himself getting around matchups that are favorable. Like got around AJ Green a few times. So did TJ McConnell, right? That was huge. That was absolutely huge in getting the Pacers offense going. Really good game from Haliburton. I would say rivaling game 2 for his best of the series. He was very impassioned, plus 25. Like he just demands so much attention. He almost had a triple-double again. The 5 turnovers probably make me think game 2 is a little above this one, but this was his most efficient game of the series. Jarris Walker hit 4 threes. That's obviously above expectation in terms of averages, but he played very well. In general, I think we all have talked about this. They went to him too little in game 3. He should have got some of Thomas Bryant's minutes. He played well, but Bryant was fine in this game. TJ McConnell, well above what he had done earlier in the series. 6 assists is obviously huge. He's been a good passer. Some of you listening, you are who I'm talking to. Go get your shovel, dig the dirt off the grave of TJ McConnell that you buried him in earlier in this series. Last year, I said, oh, man, he probably should not play as much in this series. I learned my lesson. I didn't go that far this year, and he finally got rolling. He got to the rim and finished shots. He made that mid-ranger. He made a 3. TJ McConnell made a 3 in this game, right? That's how well the Pacers were shooting. He was very impactful on the offensive end today, finally getting shots to go, wiggling free in space. And when that happens, the Pacers bench offense just looks absurdly good. I mean, it just requires so much attention from the defense, and that's why you see Jarris Walker and Obi Toppin go combined 7 for 9 from deep, which won't happen again maybe in this entire postseason. But McConnell was a huge part of that. So the veterans were huge. And Siakam, the other vet, I already mentioned this. Look, he had a lot of fouls because you're guarding Giannis. You're going to have a lot of fouls. You look back at this game, no one will look back in 5 years. Many will forget that Siakam with 12, 3, and 4, right? Only plus 3 because he played a lot with the bench. No one will remember this as a good Pascal Siakam game because of the stats. He defended Giannis, or at least like was what I mean when I say defended Giannis is like the initiator on defense. Like he's the guy who's physically on Giannis before the rest of the crew comes over to do their thing, and did a wonderful job, right? Initiating the walls, calling for the doubles and getting out of them. The 4-5 switching was great. Yes, he soaked up a lot of fouls, but this was this was the most the Pacers have forced Giannis to settle for those mid-range shots that Kyle was all over saying, yeah, the Pacers should be happy if he takes those. Yesterday, he took a 3. I think that was the first 3 Giannis has taken the whole series. He obviously lived at the line. He took 11 free throws and made 10 of them, but 9 for 20 from the field. His first game shooting under 50% this series. 8 points at halftime. He still was dominant in the second half. He would have scored way more if the game was close, and he would have played more in the second half. But 28, 15, and 6 is his lowest scoring output. Pascal was wonderful defending him in this game. The effort it takes to do that is also going to detract from offense, right? So it's not shocking that he would have a lesser, air quotes, we're talking about a still very solid game from a star player, and he demands a ton of attention too. The vets were great. Haliburton was better. Turner was incredible, and it's 3-1. And I still haven't gotten to one of the biggest stories from this game. Maybe not the biggest from a Pacers perspective, the biggest from the Bucks perspective. Damian Lillard hurt. What does it mean? What happened? Where does the series go next? Coming to close out today's Locked On Pacers. Before we get to any of that, we got to talk about FanDuel, the NBA playoffs. They're here. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action themselves. Right now, when you join FanDuel, when you place your first $5 bet, you will get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. FanDuel makes it easy, right? Whether you're picking your favorite team or you're diving into some player props, parlays, whatever you're into, FanDuel makes it simple. From 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for your chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Locked On NBA Game Night, your second listen to hear their perspective on this one. And oh my gosh, what a Sunday in the NBA. Locked On Wolves will be amazing. Locked On Celtics will be great. Even the loser side will be fascinating in a lot of these series. Phenomenal. Locked On Nuggets, if you missed Saturday night's Nuggets game. If you still haven't seen what happened at the end, you have to go to Locked On Nuggets. What a first round in the NBA. Okay. 6 minutes into the game, just awful. Just the worst. It's the worst injury, right? It just sucks. We don't know this, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what Damian Lillard's injury is. He was in crutches after the game, the boots on. All the hints are there. The hints being the reporting, the hints being the quotes, the hints being what happened, right? He was chasing a rebound. He tries to tip it over to a teammate, goes down, instant reach for the just below the calf, just above the ankle area. I am no expert of injuries. I am no doctor. I saw 2 Pacers players do exactly that in a game this season, in James Wiseman and Isaiah Jackson. And I think everybody has their expectation of what this is. And my other reason to point to that would be that Rick Carlisle and Tyrese Haliburton and Myles Turner all shared notes of, thoughts and prayers to Dame in their post-game press conferences. It just sucks. Like, especially for him this late in his career, like he might never be the same player. It sucks for the Bucks, who just won a huge game and had a chance to, chase their Bucks in 6 mantra still with, their stars finally playing together. They had 2 healthy games of Dame Giannis. They won one of them. They were ascending. Just awful. Just awful. It was a 3-point game at the time, right? It's so close. And look, people can talk about Dame however they want in this series, right? If you again, the same thing I just said about Pascal Siakam's box score from this game. People will look back on this series in 5 years and go, Dame wasn't any good. Look at his shooting percentages. He didn't do anything. And I'm sure I'll say some stupid crap like that at some point. But he was legitimately helpful for the Bucks still. Like, watch the end of game 2 when Giannis is the guy taking it up and the Bucks are on this run that they cut it to 2 or 3. Dame is on the floor, and he's standing in the corner, and whoever the Pacer guarding him is glued to him, right on him, right? They can't let him get free. It's Damian freaking Lillard, right? He didn't score very well in game 3. That was the best defensive game I've ever seen him play, right? His team defense was, okay, I guess, but his on-ball defense was legitimately quite good in that game, right? Like, he was still quite helpful for the Bucks as a decoy, at times as an actual scoring option, and as a defensive player. I've never seen him defend like that with my own eyes. I'm sure he's done it before, but Like he had a crazy block in game 3. He was playing well despite the shots not going in. And he would have been kept getting better with more time. It just is horrible, man. Love watching that guy play. I have when he was with the Blazers, the Trailblazing, I don't know if anybody knows the Trailblazing company. I bought their Trillard shirt. I wore it to play basketball in college at the Hyper all the time for those of you who went to IU. But I love watching him play. He's a great player. It just sucks. And I hope it's anything but the worst. I have no expectation that it will be, unfortunately. And it's a huge part of this game, right? It was close. I think the Pacers' shot quality was still good and better earlier. I can't remember the exact score at the time that he got hurt. I was like, again, halfway through the first quarter. Yeah, it was 15-12. And the Pacers immediately scored 8 seconds later to go up 6. And like they were up 10 a minute after that. Like it just shocked the Bucks. It's just a shock to everyone. Like the arena died in that moment. Why? Who can blame them? Who can blame them? It even had a lasting impact on this game after he exited. It's obviously got a massive impact on the series. Look, last year he had the Achilles strain. He missed game 5. Everybody thought the Pacers were going to win that one and win it 4-1, and they lost. The Pacers lost and had to come get it in Indy. Like this is not an over series. This is still a big thing, but I mean, this is like potentially career and franchise altering. Most Achilles injuries are like you hope it's not. Lots of guys have fought through them, and you hope Dame can too. But huge impact on the series. Ryan Rollins played well enough in game 1, and this game actually, that Ryan Rollins was really solid in this one. He made a 3. He defends pretty well. He's going to play certainly. Maybe he comes back to starting. Maybe they just give it to KPJ. This was Kevin Porter Jr.'s best game of the series. He had 23.6 assists. He was really, really, really scoring. That's probably the only adjustment you see from the Bucks. I mean, they might just can Giannis score 60. Good luck. Like it's huge. It's a huge bummer. It sucks. I feel for Bucks fans. I feel for people who work for the Bucks. Game 5 is now massive for the Pacers. Look, I will make the call that I would assume Dame will miss the rest of the series. You never want to give a team a chance to get back in a series, right? I mean, think about how you felt, if you're listening to this and you're a Pacers fan after game 3, right? Like a lot of people, certainly, at least all the people in my mentions online were doom and gloom. Gosh, this feels terrible. They got their butt kicked in the second. I'm not saying that was everybody, but a lot of people felt bad, right? Like a series can shift so fast. If the Bucks win game 5, they could easily go, oh, well, game 6 in Milwaukee, game 7, you never know. They have the best player. Like you just never know. And now game 5 is this critical moment of this series where the Pacers can, while they have momentum, while they feel good, while the other team is adjusting to losing a significant piece, come in, play their game, and get it done quick. And their opponent in the second round, I'm not ever burying an Eric Spoelstra team, but I watched Cavs Heat Saturday. Pretty close to burying the Miami Heat. The Cavs will be ready. Like they will be rested. There's a chance they win in 4 or 5. If the Pacers have a long series, it's a big advantage for their opponent in the second round. So you don't want to get too far ahead, right? Rick Carlisle made that very clear today. His focus right now is on the first 5 minutes and then whatever's after that of game 5. But it's a huge one for the Pacers, a chance to quickly get out of the first round and move on and ride their momentum, ride their good play, ride their ability to get guys open all the time. It's a huge game, and it's in Indy. It's a gold out. It'll be cool to see in person. Pacers hosting a game 5. Fun stats now that are all true. Tyrese Haliburton has never lost a game 4 that he's played in. They won game 4 against the Bucks and Knicks last year with him playing. He did not play against the Celtics. They won game 4 with him playing this year. Tyrese Haliburton has never lost a game 6. Bucks and Knicks last year. We'll see if this one goes to 6. And Tyrese Haliburton, more importantly for game 5, has never lost a home playoff game. Not once. They won every home game against the Bucks and Knicks last year. They won every home game against the Bucks this year. He did not play either home game against the Celtics. These are obviously very small sample stats, but I find them to be very funny and revealing as the Pacers head home to play the Bucks Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, or a little earlier than normal. The Pacers will try to have their offense keep humming. They will try to get the most out of their team, be better on defense, and try to get this series done in 5 games. I'll be there. If they win, podcast right after that game on the floor. If not, we'll see what goes on from there. Tomorrow, in the interim, try to do a crossover Locked On Bucks, talk about what's gone the same and different in the series than we expected. Can the Bucks actually surge back? What's this going to look like? And then, Tuesday post-game from game 5. Game 6 wouldn't be till Friday. So we'll see what happens after Game 5 before looking at the schedule for the rest of the week. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. I would not be able to travel to Milwaukee and do this if it wasn't for the support and interest of listeners, and I really appreciate it. I know I'm bad at taking compliments and things like that, but I truly mean it. And now I'm going to wrap this up because I have to get up super early to get back home for Fever training camp. So thank you all a ton for listening. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tony R. East. This podcast is a Twitter account. It's at Locked On Pacers, and on Instagram, same handle. If you're into Instagram for coverage and some behind the scenes stuff, I've been bad about posting there. I'll be better. Thank you guys a ton for listening. Back tomorrow talking more Pacers Bucks. Till then, everybody have a wonderful day.